Friday. It is Friday. I believe it is October 16th, 2020. We have made it through another week of this godforsaken year. Congratulations. I'll give you a round of applause. Usually I give round of applauses right before the theme of the week, but I'll do one early. Yay, we did it. We got through another week. How was your week, by the way? I'll wait. Good. All right. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for sharing. If it was a good response, I'm glad you had a great week. Hopefully, all the weeks to come will follow suit. If it has not been the best week, it's a little difficult for me to believe that because of some of the stories we're going to talk about. I actually only have 2 stories for you this episode. It's going to be a shorter episode. I feel like we know what's happening in terms of politics. The election's less than a month away. Things are ramping up a lot. You don't need me to harp into your ear about politics anymore than I already have. I'm going to try to stay off of that for maybe the next couple weeks until right before the election, unless something really fucking insane happens. Then, of course, I'll chime in on it. But in terms of politics, the first story we're going to cover today, the first story is about Ice Cube and him working with the Trump administration on his contract for Black America. I believe that's what it is called. I'll have to double check. I don't have the article in front of me. But before I get to that and our second story, I want to talk to you about my week. I never do that. I never share about what's going on with me directly. If I do, I chime in about it on the theme of the week. But I thought I'd start it off by just hitting on what I've been up to. And like I said last week, I started an internship in Berkeley, so I've had to drive out to Berkeley basically every other day for the past week, and it's been pretty interesting. Well, actually, the past 2 weeks, because it was on the 5th was my first day, and it's been interesting for sure. I've learned a lot about the music business and stuff. It's very exciting being in this program, and I honestly cannot wait to see where it kind of takes me. I've also really enjoyed getting to know some people in my cohort. I haven't met new people in a long time. I've seen existing friends, which I'm very happy about, very thankful for, but I haven't made any new friends in a long time. So to make some new acquaintances, it's very nice. Also, Berkeley. I want to talk about Berkeley really quick. I used to not be the biggest fan of that place when I was younger, just because of the school. I always affiliated myself more with Stanford, not really Cal. I've never really resonated with me. No, I don't know why. My parents have never really been big college sports fans ever, so I just never had an allegiance. And growing up, I'm like, yeah, Stanford's cool, I guess. I don't know. Cal, And then when everything happened back in 2016, 2017 with Antifa first popping up in Berkeley and all that stuff, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth for the area. But now look at me. I'm I'm not going to say I side with Antifa a lot, but I mean, I'm more in line with their ideology and rhetoric than I am anybody else's, any other groups. So it's pretty funny how life works. You never know where you're going to go. But how do I fit in Berkeley? I feel I love Berkeley. Walking around there the past couple days, walking through the neighborhoods, because I've had to park far away from where the venue is that I'm working at in order to park. So walking 20 minutes through Berkeley to get to where I need to go. Very interesting place. I really enjoy it. It's very easy to get to Sacramento from there. It's only about an hour and a half with no traffic. Very easy drive. When there is traffic, though, it is really shitty. But luckily, there was only one day out of the week that I had to deal with that kind of traffic. So, for all it is, it's not a bad drive. And I'm looking forward to the future when it comes to my professional prospects. Things are looking up in that respect. I'm very excited about that. So I just wanted to quickly share about what I've been up to, but let's get into these stories. So the first story is Ice Cube defends advising Trump on plan for Black America. Ice Cube responded on Wednesday night to intense backlash in the hip-hop community and beyond after an advisor to President Donald Trump revealed on Twitter that the hip-hop star and NWA legend advised the Trump administration on a plan for Black America. The tweet by Christina Pearson reads, "Shout out to Ice Cube for his willingness to step up and work with the real Donald Trump, at real Donald Trump administration to help develop the Platinum Plan." Ice Cube, who has been a vocal critic of Trump, famously released a song titled "Arrest the President" in 2018 and clarified his role and defended his involvement in a series of tweets. And I quote from Ice Cube, "Facts, I put out the CWBA. Both parties contacted me. Dems said we'll address the CWBA after the election. Trump campaign made some adjustments to their plan after talking to us about the CWBA." So the CWBA refers to the rapper's contract with Black America. Okay, so I was right earlier. A 13-point document that he released on July 1st in the wake of nationwide Black Lives Matter protests. The contract urges all politicians asking for a vote from Black Americans to back the plan and demand an open debate and clear and fair vote within the first 100 days of the 117th Congress in 2021 on the following proposals to be codified into specific bills. The rapper consulted with policy experts on the CWBA, which is described as, quote, "a blueprint to achieve racial economic justice," end quote, and touches on a wide range of issues, including finance, police, criminal justice, and education reform. Of course, there have been critics. Some critics pointed to Ice Cube's own criticism of the late NWA member Eazy-E for attending a White House fundraiser for President George H.W. Bush. And I quote from a man, I believe it's a man named Jelani Cobb. And I quote, "The wild thing is that Eazy-E went to a fundraiser at the George H.W. Bush White House in 1991 and got criticized about for the rest of his life. Ice Cube apparently forgot about that when he decided to collaborate with an infinitely worse administration," end quote. But amid the backlash, Ice Cube insisted that Black progress is a bipartisan issue. And another Ice Cube tweet, "Black progress is a bipartisan issue. When we created the contract with Black America, we expected to talk to both sides of the aisle. Talking truth to power is part of the process." Ice Cube, who has been outspoken about social issues throughout his career in both public appearances and his music, has not indicated who he will vote for in 2020. He has been critical of both Republican and Democratic politicians and proclaiming that he is now a single-issue voter with the lack of progress that has been made in uplifting the Black community. "After getting a very close look at our politics and politicians, I've turned into a single-issue voter," he tweeted in September. "My single issue is whoever does the most for Black Americans will get my vote. If you leave us blank, I will leave you blank. Crumbles not accepted." Although there has been somewhat of a lukewarm embrace of the Biden-Harris ticket in the hip-hop community this election cycle, the opposition to Trump has been passionate. A similar scenario to 2016, when the Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton was met with skepticism. Ice Cube's position is not uncommon and reflects the long-standing mistrust that some in the Black community have in the American political system, as generations have battled and continue to grapple with the impact of systemic racism, from housing and education to policing and the criminal justice system. Last quote from Ice Cube, then I'll chime in on it. "Every side is the dark side for us here in America. They're all the same until something changes for us. They all lie and they all cheat, but we can't afford not to negotiate with whoever is in power, or our condition in this country will never change. Our justice is bipartisan." So what do I think about this? I mean, look, I don't really have a leg to stand on when it comes to this conversation, but I can have an opinion, and my opinion is that I agree with Ice Cube. I mean, when you are part of the most oppressed group in this country, of course, you're going to need to negotiate with anyone who's in power And it seems to me that Ice Cube is pretty left-leaning in his ideas, in what he wants. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I agree with a lot of it. So it doesn't baffle me at all that he doesn't agree with Democratic and Republican establishments. I don't either. A lot of people don't, but it's different. I see that it's different because I come at that rejection of both establishments of both parties from one perspective. He and a lot of other African Americans have different perspectives as to why they do not want to back either party, right? Even the Democratic Party, because they've taken their vote for granted for the past, you could argue 50 years. So it's a different conversation than what I know, but I don't disagree with Ice Cube for working with the Trump administration. I don't. Why wait? Yeah, it doesn't look like Trump will win. It doesn't look like it at all. But if the Democratic Party doesn't want to work on his plan until after the election, then fuck it. Yeah, let's work on it with the current administration. Why not? We're in a pandemic after all. It's not like we're doing anything, right? I don't see where the issue is here. Like, I just don't get it. Like, why? Just because he's an African American man, he can't work with Republican leaders who, honestly probably are not as forthcoming in terms of working with him. But, do you really think the Democratic establishment is going to be any more forthcoming? So instead of it being a partisan thing, it should be regardless of political party that the African American community should have a focus on. Like, there should be a spotlight on that community regardless of who's president, right? I think most people would agree with that. So I don't see why Ice Cube working with Trump is a bad thing. I actually would say, why didn't this happen earlier? So the next story, and our last story for today, because I said it was going to be a little bit shorter because I just wanted to do 2 stories, is going to be about the MCU. Hooray! As a lot of you have probably heard, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield supposedly are supposed to appear in Spider-Man 3, reprising their roles as their various incarnations of Peter Parker. And, I spoke about it last week, kind of, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. I honestly don't remember. I believe I did, because I talked about Electro being in the MCU, right? And how there's possibilities for the other two, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to come back as well. Well, earlier in the week, it comes out, it gets quote unquote confirmed that these 2 actors have signed on. They're going to be Spider-Man again, only for yesterday, Thursday, for Sony to come out and totally dash our hopes and dreams to a degree. Not entirely. I'll read you what this article says. So Sony Pictures has released a statement in response to ongoing rumors that the untitled Spider-Man 3 will feature appearances by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man. Quote, "Those rumored castings are not confirmed," a representative for Sony Pictures told ET Canada. The wording of the statement neither confirms nor denies the Maguire and Garfield casting, but merely said it is not officially confirmed. And that's really where I kind of leave it. I mean, look, some people who have sources within Sony say that it is confirmed 100%, right? But those are like not journalists. Those are people on YouTube who have connects in the industry for sure, but it's just more difficult to trust those people. Whereas, the big media outlets who are a little bit more reputable when it comes to this type of stuff, at least, they haven't confirmed anything. So it's pretty difficult to see what's going to happen here. But if I were a betting man, which I am, I would bet that they are going to be in this movie still. And now I'm not 100% sure on it. So don't hold my feet to the fire on it, please. But it's looking like it's going to happen. It really feels like it is. Now, if they're not signed on yet, at least they're going to make an appearance. And maybe down the line it will happen. Maybe not in Spider-Man 3, but maybe they'll sign on for Multiverse of Madness, and which is the Doctor Strange movie coming out. Maybe one of them will appear there, and then down the line the other one will appear. And in Spider-Man 4, that's when the meeting will happen. So maybe there'll be some more setup, which I really hope so. But I really think that it is going to happen. I think it's just too easy not to. Why wouldn't you want to bring those guys back? That'd be an insane event. But if they want to wait, another 4 years to do it until Spider-Man 4 comes out, I'm not going to be mad about it. So that's my thoughts for that. So now, really quickly, it is time for our theme of the week. Yay, another round of applause. Theme of the week. The theme for this week is something I call the brick wall. Now, if you listened to this past episode of the Closers podcast, my bandmate and one of my best friends, Lacey Hopkins, was on, and we talked about like how we make music under dreary eyes and stuff. So I'm an artist outside of the podcast, and I have hit a wall recently when it comes to my music. It's been difficult for me to write music. It's been difficult for me to record music. It's been difficult for me to focus on really anything, even school to a degree. It's hard for me to focus on school. I just don't have focus right now. Like, the only thing I can focus on is the pod, right? And this is very much a personal theme of the week, but it's my theme for this week. And if you relate to it, great. If you don't, I understand, but maybe somewhere down the line you've felt this way too. Anyways, I call that a brick wall. You just hit a point where you just can't get past, right? You can't just get through it. But eventually you look up and you see, okay, I have to get over this thing, right? But sometimes, you can't just go for it. You can't just start trying to climb it. You need to give yourself a break because you've been trying to get through it, for like maybe the past week or so. So you got to give yourself a breather, and it's hard to give yourself that time. It's hard for me to give myself that time. I found it very difficult. I mean, today I'm recording on Thursday. You'll hear this on Friday, but I'm recording Thursday, and today I haven't done anything really. I've tried to work on schoolwork. I've tried to, work on some music, write some new material. Nothing comes out, and it's really frustrating. And I know I need to give myself a break and just let myself just chill out. And it's just difficult when you're the type of person that's always on the go. You got to always have something going on, or else you freak out. And I'm at that point where I'm starting to freak out a little bit. I need something to do, something that I know I can complete. Because when it comes to art, sometimes you cannot complete certain pieces of art because you can't even start it. So how are you supposed to start or finish something you can't even start, right? When you're writing a song and nothing's coming to you, you can't force it. You can't just start it. So it's very tricky, and it's really frustrating. But hopefully next week I'll have the inverse. I'll have an update, and I'll tell you guys how I'm feeling about that brick wall. But right now I'm hitting that brick wall right now, and I got to give myself a break before I try to get over it or around it. But it stretches pretty far, and it might be easier to just go over it than to go around, because who knows where it really ends. So that's all I got for this episode of Closing Out the Week with the Closers Podcast. Thank you for checking us out. If you like what you heard, please follow us on Instagram at the Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are the Closers Podcast. Next week, Quinn is going to hit you with another episode of Hang 10, probably some more Rams talk, which ain't no problem. It ain't no problem. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk to another guest on the Closers Podcast. So stay tuned for that. I'll hit you back next Friday for another episode of Closing Out the Week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.